What's up and good morning, guys. Welcome to part 6 of the Rhino Ranch modern custom shed project. I don't know how many more adjectives we could put into this thing, but I'm sure I'll come up with something. Today we are jumping on a couple of things. Number one, we are papering the roof. As you know, when we put our plywood on the roof, we leave little 1/8 inch gaps all the way around to allow for expansion. And well, until we get our metal roof put on, I believe we're going metal roof. Don't quote me on that. If pricing is super crazy, we're not going with metal roof. But my whole plan with this thing is to be as fireproof as possible. So that's why I'm stuccoing the sides. And we're not doing any type of like wood siding or composite siding or anything like that. I want to do stucco because stucco is going to last a little bit longer and buy me a little more time to keep this thing from catching on fire. Same with the roof. Shingles are great and all. However, tile is better. Now, I know the metal roof isn't going to get put on anytime soon. However, I would like to paper the roof at least. Closes up all of these little gaps and just keeps water from getting in should we get any rain or anything like that. Not that we anticipate any coming. You might notice I'm only wearing one jacket today. That means the weather is finally cooperating and getting to about where I like it. No complaints today, y'all. No complaint. Now, Abel grabbed one of just the rolls that we had lying around. We actually have a fresh roll that I believe is a little bit thicker paper or felt or whatever you want to call it. So we're probably going to pull this off. We're going to bring the thicker stuff up here, throw that on, because in my opinion, thicker is a little bit better. So we'll get this roll pulled off. Now this stuff is like way thicker. It's like probably 3 or 4 times the thickness of that paper. And a lot heavier. And hopefully this rolls enough because we're already using a lot for one pass. Well, after getting our first roll out and our first piece, we decided it's much easier to cut on the ground, being that this thing is just one big rectangle. I can just call out the measurement, just repeat the pieces all the way up and be good to go. So Abel's down there, he's gonna cut it on the ground instead of trying to finagle that little roll past the edge and then roll it back a little bit and trying to get a straight cut. Just a lot easier to do that on the ground. Then of course, once we do like our flashing or whatever we end up doing over here, we'll end up trimming the excess. With metal roofing, I have no idea how that goes on or kind of what that looks like on the edging details or anything like that. I've really only ever done 2 roofs in my life. One was a doghouse and the other one was the hunting blind. Both held up great. Doghouse held up. I mean, I think I had it for like 7, 8 years, maybe a little bit longer than that before I sold that house, and it stayed with the house. And then the hunting blind, which you see right there, has been through a ton of windstorms. That one was like full, properly done, flashing, you know, shingles, all that, like, but done well, and that roof has held up phenomenally. I'm now gonna use my hammer tacker. This is just basically a stapler. Instead of having to pull down on a handle, you just smack it like you would a hammer and it automatically dispenses the staple. We will go around our edge. It's a little hard to do one-handed. I don't have my head strap today. And we will just tack her down. You can see that. Drop the staple in. Real nice and easy like. And then if you get a staple like that where it sticks up a little bit, you just turn this thing over, use the backside. You can pound it flat. Looks like Abel's got our next piece cut and ready to go, which means I need to hurry up. We're gonna roll out our next piece. And of course, we are overlapping the first one. Again, I'm no roofing expert, but it's just basically waterproofing. And usually waterproofing has the same principle, right? You work your way up. You start at the bottom, you work your way up. That way every single piece lays on top of the last one. So if we think like water, water is going to shed down this way because that's the slope of our roof. Well, if water sheds here and we have this underneath another piece, the water's going to get underneath it, right? It's a very simple shingling process, but it applies to a lot of things. When you're doing windows, it's the same thought process. Siding, the same thought process. It's a fundamental thing, but I do see a lot of people, especially in carpentry, kind of miss it. So it's very important. Start at the bottom, each layer from there sits on top of that one. That way, if water ever does get up underneath the metal roofing or whatever roofing we end up using, the paper is like our last line of defense, and it'll shed on top of the paper and go on top of the next sheet instead of getting back up in here. Now, there is always a chance that like super wind-driven rain can get up underneath the paper a little bit. That is a thing. I have seen it happen. But typically out here, we don't have a whole lot to worry about. We don't have like a freeze or thaw cycle or anything like that. The Papa Rhino picked this roll up for me the other day, and he only got 1 roll. And I think, unfortunately, we are going to run short with this 1 roll. We're gonna need like 1 more piece, maybe 2 more pieces off of. So I'm gonna see if I can have him pick me up another roll on his way up here today. so we can actually close this out. While we wait for Papa Rhino to bring the rest of the roofing paper, we're going to start working inside. Now that we have everything screwed off and nailed off on all of our sheathing, that means we are now rigid, and we can remove our braces that were originally holding the building nice and square and plumb. And then once those are out of the way, we're going to move to electrical. And speaking of electrical, check this out.
For those of you who watch my videos, you know we regularly lose power out at the ranch. And in the past, I've had to pull out my generators, fight to get them started, and run a cord through an open door or window to get us by. Well, I'm sick and tired of the noisy generators and the inconveniences that go along with them. So I'm excited to get my hands on this power system from Anker, a leader in battery power solutions, and I present to you the Anker SOLIX F3800. And you can probably tell by the size, this isn't the standard power a couple of small things in an emergency battery system. This bad boy is designed to power and back up your entire house. You'll notice it doesn't only support 120 volt, but 240 volt as well, which is rare for portable battery systems. It has 6,000 watts AC output, and you can link two of these together for an impressive 12,000 watts max AC output. Now, 6,000 watts is a lot of power, and it'll allow you to run a good amount of appliances at the same time. But like I said earlier, if you pair two of these things together for the 12,000 watts of max power, you'll be able to run dang near your whole house at once. Now, how long you can run those appliances is determined by the kilowatt hours of the battery storage. This model has 3.8 kilowatt hours, but is expandable up to 53.8 kilowatt hours with the addition of expansion batteries. They estimate 3.8 kilowatt hours will run the average house during a blackout for one day. Now, that's being conservative with your appliance usage. However, if you expand the system all the way up to 53.8 kilowatt hours, they claim that will run a house for about 2 weeks. Now, mind you, that's one day of power without recharging the device. But if you pair it with 2,400 watts of solar, you only need 2 hours of sunshine to fully charge it back up for longer use. You can also fully charge the system with grid power in about 2.4 hours. This is a NEMA 1450 outlet. This is the type of plug you would typically use to charge your EV, plug your RV into, or power large appliances. In the past, during a power outage, the only way for me to power my well setup was to drag my big old generator out here and fire it up. You'll notice with the retractable easy tow handle on the Anker SOLIX F3800, it is super easy to bring this thing out to the well. Now, obviously, the only way to have water pressure in the house is to have the generator running. Now, if the power was going to be out overnight, we'd have a loud generator running out here, which would probably annoy the neighbors, and I never wanted to do that. So what I would have to do is I would shower and then walk all the way out here in the middle of the night to turn the generator off so we didn't annoy any of the neighbors. Well, with this new battery system, we don't have to do that. We can just leave it out here plugged in, and as you can hear, it is silent. Now, we're really going to put this thing to the test right now. We are going to hook it up to my well and see what kind of longevity we can get out of the battery system. You'll see where having all of these power ports really comes in handy with the different style of plugs you're going to find around your house. You can see it powering up. We are at 100% battery life. We'll go ahead and turn on the power ports. In order to get my booster pump to turn on, we're gonna have to drain out some of the pressure. So let's do that right now. You'll see the pressure going down on this pressure gauge. And then once it drops to a certain threshold, it'll kick on the booster pump, which is what feeds pressure to the house. Alrighty, we will hit the breaker now for the generator cord that we have coming off of the well. And there we go. We are powering 2,100 watts to run the booster pump. You can see we've already reached half the pressure. 80 psi is about where this thing sits at. So while it may say 1.4 hours, that is of continuous use, which obviously this cycles on and off similar to your refrigerator or your air conditioning. With the included Bluetooth or Wi-Fi app, you can monitor everything from your phone. You can see it showing the AC output running the well, and we can also set that to automatically turn itself off if we want to cut power to that at any point in time. Your remaining power is listed right there, the current charge of the battery and the temperature. It's been less than a minute. We have pretty much reached full pressure. It should kick itself off here. There we go. And we'll watch and see if the battery goes back up. Look at that, back up to 2 days. We didn't even take 1% off of the battery charge, getting pressure back to the entire ranch. We've talked about the 120 and 240 outlets. Let's work our way around and talk about all of the power ports. We've got USB-C ports, we've got regular USB ports, and then we've got a car socket if you want to run a 12-volt cigarette lighter style plug. This plug is for the home power panel. This is where you would attach any expansion batteries, and then here you can plug in if you wanted to actually charge this off of your car. You can get a cable for that and plug it into your car's 12-volt power source. All in all, this isn't just a power station though. This thing is smart. I've already showed you guys the app that you can monitor everything with, but when it's paired with a home power panel, it has 3 available power modes. Self-consumption mode, where grid-tied panels charge the SOLIX F3800. Time of use mode, in which you can set this to charge when electricity rates are lower and then power your house when the rates are higher. And lastly, automatic backup mode. During a power outage, will automatically turn on and power up to 12 circuits when paired with the Anker home power system. Comes with a 5-year warranty and a battery lifespan of about 3,000 cycles, which they claim is about 10 years of use. I'm very excited to have the most accessible home power system, the Anker SOLIX F3800. Not only to use immediately to power stuff during power outages, but to also build a very robust battery system out here at the ranch.
So that brace right there being gone makes me super happy. I was sick of having to duck underneath it or climb over it, but now we have a good look at our opening. We do still need to cut out that pressure treated bottom plate. I like to leave them on when I'm framing because it keeps these legs locked in place versus trying to cut that, then stand it up with that opening. These legs are gonna wanna like come in and do some funky stuff. So I always leave that in until everything is nice and built and assembled. Same with like doorways on interior framing and all that. Then I come in later and just with the Sawzall, I don't know which way I'm pointing, it's backwards on the camera. With the Sawzall, we'll just flush cut right alongside that framing down to the concrete on both sides. For electrical, we are going to keep it fairly simple in here. I don't need a lot of power. We're not gonna use a lot of power. So where we have our conduit coming into the slab right there, I'm gonna put one outlet there. Then going up the sides, we're gonna end up with 2 switches. One's gonna be for the interior lights and one's gonna be for the exterior eave lights. Again, I don't need too many outlets in here, so I anticipate putting a workbench somewhere in this section. So I want outlets above that. That way I can put battery chargers for all of my tools and all that on top of the workbench. So we're going to put a double gang box here and a double gang box there. So we'll have 4 outlets on this wall. The 1 outlet down there. Then we need an outlet up top for our garage door. I don't know if I'm gonna do a motorized garage door, but we need to put the power in now because it's a lot more difficult to do later. And then we need to figure out where we're gonna put our lights, and then we gotta run all of the wiring for the eave lights. Now, I'm no master electrician, and I feel like I got just enough knowledge of certain things to get things done. However, I am no expert, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. This isn't in place right now, but I'm using these adjustable boxes, and these things are really cool because it allows you to adjust the depth of the box, and they're easier to put in place. Instead of having to hammer in 2 nails, you got spots to put in screws, and really they just clip on and they'll hold themselves in place until you kind of figure out what you want to do, versus the other boxes you're trying to hold in place, hammer some nails. But the cool thing about these is they are adjustable in and out. So depending on the depth of your material, sometimes you put drywall and then you're like, oh, I also want to put some type of slat wall. Well, now your box is like that deep into the wall. Well, with these adjustable ones, all you do after the fact is you turn that screw and it actually brings the blue piece in and out. So you don't have to run a bunch of spacers to try to get your outlet to bite into the screw or longer screws or anything like that. You can actually just adjust the entire box. Well, y'all, my nemesis has shown up, the propane truck. Last year we went a whole year without seeing that guy, and propane prices were through the roof. They've come down a decent amount, I believe, right now. If you guys recall, I told you the reason we were putting the fireplace back into use, or well, we actually never used it, we had the TV in front of it when we did that whole project, is because I wanted to start heating the house with the fireplace. Well, I haven't built my heat deflector that I need to build to keep the heat away from the TV, so I haven't used the fireplace. And in the previous videos, you saw me all bundled up, 2 jackets, freezing. That's because it was cold, and I finally gave in and turned the heater on. And of course, when I do, all of a sudden, propane truck is back to fill up. We're hoping it's not that expensive today. I'll check once he's done, I'll get the receipt, and I'll let you guys know how much we paid for that. Alrighty, so we've got all of our holes drilled through our studs to route our wiring. And kind of my plan is, again, we're gonna come into this box, we're gonna run power up to the switches. From the switches, we are going to come back out, and we're probably gonna go all the way through this way and up to here. Reason being, getting into the ceiling, obviously for the interior lights and for this outlet, it is easy just to pop right through our top plates, and then we're in the ceiling bay. To get to our eaves outside, or our soffits, it's a lot harder if we were to come up in here, try to come up into this 2x6, and then turn to go over. We could kind of circumvent it and just come up here, but then you have exposed wires. If we end up drywalling this all the way up top, that's not gonna work because there's gonna be some wires in the way. We could probably like cut a little channel out of here to make that work, but it's a little hokey. So if I can get the wires, 3 of them, through Abel's holes that he put into the studs for me, then we're just gonna come everything over this way. The ceiling lights will come here, the soffit lights will come up here, and we'll shoot out that way. Or maybe actually we can just shoot that way. I don't know why I'm even trying to fight these doubled up, or there's actually tripled up 2x6s. I can just pop through that blocking right there. Now for the height over here, I'm actually gonna drop these a little bit. Let's see, this line is 4 feet, so I kind of screwed myself by putting my blocking right in the way. I'm gonna drop them low enough that I could still get into
this section right here to run wires in and out. I don't know if the 3 openings on the bottom are going to be enough. I guess we could pop open this range wire on the side, but then it's not technically holding it in place like these guys are. This is for a thicker wire. We'll see right now. This is the part where I always like second guess myself. Did I bring enough wires over? Again, I'm no electrician. If I was doing anything more serious, I would bring in my electrician buddies to have them knock this out for me, but this is very, very simple. Oh, and we got the garage door one there. None of these are in place. These are all just kind of like rough spots, and then I'm going to come in and measure, make sure the heights are all good. But that's going to be for the garage door motor. It's roughly a little over, it's about 8 foot back from the header, which according to the internet, that says you should be about 8 foot back from the header. So we're right there, which also gives you an idea of where the garage door motor would sit, which is good because that tells me the garage door would probably be, it's a 7 foot opening, so it'd actually be somewhere around here. So for lighting, being that when the garage door is open, it's going to cover a lot of the ceiling. We know we need more lights over here, a couple lights over there, but those are really going to get covered and be kind of useless. Alrighty. Now, some of you might be thinking I'm not putting enough outlets in here. I think we'll be fine though. I think this is going to be plenty of outlets. Like, this isn't a workshop, right? I'm not going to sit in here and be running a bunch of saws and all that stuff. This is mainly just for storage. One thing I do struggle with though is getting wiring like to tuck nice and neatly in there and actually have room for the outlet or the switch and not have a bunch of pressure pushing on the wires. I have tried it a million different ways. I'm just not good at it. I don't know if anybody noticed. I don't even know if I ever addressed it, but for the hunting blind, there's only one switch for the hunting blind. Really, it's just for the one single wall sconce light that I put in that thing. But there's a double gang box, and the reason being is the power came in for the switch and then it had to go back out for the outlets. And to me, like, again, I'm not good at cramming stuff into a single gang box. So I put a double gang box just for one switch, and then I put a blank on the other side because it gave me the extra room that I need to be able to install it properly, to where, again, I don't like a bunch of pressure pushing on the wires, because I feel like at that point, that's when something's gonna come loose. It's one of those things though, it's all practice, right? You see electricians slam boxes in, their wires are all tucked perfectly, but they've done it forever. So one of the things with projects like this, and the reason I like to film projects like this, is there's a lot of things that I'm not that great at, or I just haven't done enough to like acquire the skill. Framing is one of them. I think I'm getting better as time goes on when it comes to framing, but don't be afraid to try it. Obviously you don't wanna burn your house down. Obviously you don't wanna build a structure that's gonna fall over. So do your research and do a little bit of planning, but don't be afraid to try new things. And that concludes today's motivational speech. Alrighty, so now that everything is in place, we are going to start pulling some wire. And we're using the Milwaukee backpack vacuum. We've got some string line over there, and some, you guys all said a plastic bag is better, and I just dropped that and bent that. We'll have to bend that back straight. So we're using a plastic bag. We're gonna see if we can suck it through. That's not able. Alrighty, so I've taped it. I've kind of made the wires to a point, because on that side of the box, we've got a real small fitting that we need to get through. We're gonna try to go this way. I think it's gonna be easier to just fight that fitting at the very end versus trying to go through the fitting side and then fight it all the way coming out here. But we'll see. I'm gonna straighten this a little bit as it goes. This is 12-2 wire. So we're gonna use this for all of our main power coming in and our outlets and all that, and then going to the lights, I've got 14-2 wire. And maybe possibly 16 pulgadas, or maybe 1 foot. Alrighty, also step 1 is done. Step 2, we're now gonna run power into this box, and I'm basically using this like a junction box, but we might as well put an outlet in since we're gonna have power running into it. So I'm gonna run power here, we're gonna cut this. Then from here, we're gonna run another line, and that's gonna go out to the light switch. Here, we'll feed this wire in. We'll probably end up stapling her to there. And trust me guys, I looked at the Milwaukee stapler, but it was too much money for this little project. Go, okay. So now we have power running into the building from there to the light switch. Now from here, we're going to switch over to our 14-2. We're gonna run 2 legs of this coming out again for our 2 switches. That's gonna run all the way to where Abel is now putting some more holes in and going to be getting us through that double top plate. Probably run the one from there to those outlets first, because it's a thicker wire. Then we'll finagle these through. It's easier just to stub that in after I get my distance runs. Now the corners are where things get fun, and I probably should have done this before I put the sheeting on. And remember, this stud that we put in is just drywall backing, so hacking out a bunch of it's not gonna hurt anything structurally. But let's see if we can make this corner. The problem is we then have to make it with 2 more wires, which I don't know how easy that's gonna be. Now on this side, obviously our studs, we pulled layout that way. The window is centered, but your stud layout doesn't work out like evenly on each side, right? Because we continued pulling 16 inches from there all the way over. So when I have this box right here, we end up with about 12 1/8 to the inside of that window. But then on this side, we only have 10 1/4. Now, even obviously swapping it to the other side of this stud, it's just too big. So what we're gonna do over here is I'm gonna take a 2x4 and I'm gonna pad this one out. Put the 2x4 there. I had to drill another hole so we can pass the wires through. We now have 10 3/8, give or so. So we're about 1/8 off, which in this distance is a-okay. It's just one of those OCD things. If I walk in straight on and I have like a workbench here, I mean, I don't know. I guess I would see 1.5 inches off, but most people probably wouldn't care. But hey, we're here. It's not that much more work to just slam in a little piece of 2x4 to pad that box out. Get this wire up into this box. There we go. We'll staple that one on. There we go. This will come over. Staple there, come up, bada bing, bada boom. All right, we are all stapled on. This wire is good, this wire is good. We'll terminate that one, and then we gotta run our lighting wire. Now, from here on out, everything is overhead. Thankfully, we got the scaffolding in here. I'm surprised that box has not fallen yet. Abel's up on the roof. Papa Rhino has shown up. You can see his truck right there with the last of the paper. So Abel's up there walking around, putting paper on, stapling, and that thing has no screws in it. It's literally just those little teeth holding that thing in place, and it has not fallen yet. So great design on those guys' part. Now I get that these little tabs in the back are to keep the wire from wanting to pull back through, but God, are they annoying. I probably have the completely wrong technique for doing this, but this just makes sense to me. Now we gotta fish our 2 lighting wires all the way through. And again, that is the 14-2 wire that we were using. Good news is it's thinner, it's more flexible, it's a little more forgiving when it comes to feeding it through. But this one's gonna be the easy one. Oh geez. It's when we have to go get our 3rd one through. Some things are gonna get interesting. We are at our fun corner. Let's see what we can finagle. Remember, it's only gonna get harder. Oh yeah, that next one's gonna suck. Yep. Ooh, I forgot. We gotta run another hot up there. So all right. So we'll run another 12-2 from here up. That's gonna be for the outlet right there, the garage door opener. Then we'll keep all of our lighting on this side. I knew there was a reason I moved that. Now, of course, right as I started pulling the wire up, the GoPro battery died, but we've got our lighting leg ran up right there. I'm gonna use just the new style of can lights where they literally, you just cut the hole and the light pops in. They're really thin. They have 2 little wings on each side that holds it in place. So instead of trying to mount boxes for those or anything, again, we're just gonna come in after the fact and install them. So what I'm doing for now is I've got enough wire there to get to the center of the bay or wherever it ends up working out with layout wise. We'll be able to pull through. I just left that extra bundled up there, and then I took a nail and I just kind of wedged it up there so it holds it up out of the way, so when we go to cut these holes, we don't end up cutting right through that wire. Now, here's the time to run our second wire, or well, 3rd total, but 2nd lighting wire through this mess of wires. This one's got me a little bit nervous. I think we can get through a few of these spots just fine. Oh, we're a little tight right there. Oh yeah, that's not a good idea. Come on. Thankfully I haven't stapled these yet, so we'll loosen these up a little bit because we got a lot of tension going on right here. Oh, this is not gonna be fun. Jeez guys, we are already struggling. That's just barely getting through the first little block of studs there. Now we should be easy for a second. Let's see if we can ride on top of this wire. There we go. Okay guys, here we go. Here's the fun part. Wish me luck. I'm getting her to make this corner. Come on, booger. Oh, look at that. Look at that. We got it. We did it, y'all. We did it. Now we just need to go up and stub out up there. Oh yeah, we got way more than enough. Come on, don't fight me now. We're so close. We're so close. And then from here, we pop out into our soffits. Whew. Now we go through and staple all this to our studs. Now for the lights up in the ceiling, I felt like I would regret it if I didn't push them wider than the garage door. So I anticipate the actual garage door itself is gonna be somewhere in here. And we're gonna put the lights right on the edge of the wall. It's a really funky place to put the lights, but I think at least we'll get some type of downlight coming down these walls. Again, I think those ones in the front right there are gonna do a really good job of lighting this place up. The new LEDs are super bright, but just in case, we're gonna do this. And I probably should put one in the center here. But for now, I'm running wire there, and these all get daisy chained together. So that's gonna be the end of the run. Then from there, this wire will come over. There'll be a wire that'll go into this light, and then it'll come back out of this light and go down that way to that light that's gonna be right there. And then another wire will come out of that backside and shoot over to there, and it's gonna all stem from that first light that we hung up over there. Now that inside is all wrapped up, we're going to run all of our soffit wiring. So again, I already had Able drill through all of the 2x6s to run the wiring. There's where we're coming out of the building. And I also had Able put in all of this 2x4 blocking, so when we go to put our OSB up underneath, we have something to screw that edge on. Alrighty guys, so I'm gonna try something a little bit different out here. I'm gonna tape these together here, and I'm gonna leave them connected. I'm gonna tuck them up out of the way, so when I cut my holes, you know, we're not going through it. And then I should be able to reach in and pull this through. And then from there, we'll snip it. We'll have two ends of the wires, the in and then the out, that's gonna feed the next light. Now, aside from putting in my nail guards, the rough-in electrical is essentially done. And look at this. So I've got 3 12-2s coming into here, and I could barely get them into the box. Obviously, these little leads that I left on here are a little bit longer than you would leave when you actually go to hook this thing up, but I don't know how I'm gonna get an outlet and get all of those into that box. That might just become a junction box. We'll see. Chris is a lot better at this than I am, so I'll let him take a stab at that. And because I want to be an authentic electrician, we're just going to leave all of that on the ground because we know the drywall guy's just going to come in and fill our boxes full of mud, so screw him. Even though, unfortunately, I'm the drywall guy as well on this job. Just kidding, guys. We're gonna clean up. We're gonna clean up. On the outside, though, we've got all of our wiring run and stapled basically where it's gonna go. I don't know how we got some slack up there, but we'll fix that. I'll show you guys the can lights in a second, but now we're going to put all of our OSB up underneath the eaves, and we're gonna basically close these in. Don't have any vents. I know we probably should have vents to prevent dry rot, but we're not gonna. So we're just gonna fully enclose these in, stucco it, and call it good. We did, however, go ahead and we marked where each one of these 2x6s is, so when we slam this in place, we know where we are putting it. We drilled those high enough up so we're not going to get any screws or nails hitting that wire, so I don't really plan on putting any nail guards there. Don't need them. All right, guys, so we're putting up our first sheet. Okay. Listo? Sí. Okay. Yeah. All right, there you go, guys. Now we got a donkey stampede on camera. Oh, they saw me. They're gonna stop. Oh, maybe not. Now it might look a little bit goofy, but I'm not putting lights in the corners all the way out here. We're gonna put a light there,
center, and over there. And the reason being is if I put them on the corners, then I'm basically splitting up 3 lights per side. We end up with less lights, if that makes sense. Because if we have one there, that accounts for 1 on this side and 1 on that side. By moving them in a little bit, we can put 3 here, 3 there, 3 on the back side, 3 there. We get 12 lights. It might look a little goofy when we're done, but this was just my way of getting more lights in, because you guys know I love lights. Now we are having to put blocking in because of the way the sheets are running. So if we run our OSB right here, obviously we're not gonna have anything to screw into. So I'm just taking a piece of 2x4, laying it flat, and then we'll have somewhere we can screw into. Listo.
Un poquito más suave.
No, está bien. I've gone around and done my layout as to where the lights are gonna go. I'm not super sold on this design. I probably should have gone to the corners, but to me, these lights are gonna look best if they can wash down the walls, right? If we just have a light floating way out here that's just like not really lighting up a wall, it doesn't do that great. If we have a light that shines down a wall, that's where you start to really see the beauty of lighting. So we've got one right there. Right, this one might change. Then we've got center here, then obviously the one right there. The front, I think we're gonna run into an issue. I think there is a 2x6 right where I want the light to go, or at least pretty close to it. I think especially on that side. So might have to get a little funky and chip a little bit of that 2x6 out. Thankfully the lights are very slim, so it's not like we need a ton of room, and then by the time we stucco we need even less room, but I still need to be able to get in there to get the wiring and fit the box inside of the hole. So that's gonna be our biggest issue. Worst case scenario, I haven't fully nailed this off yet because I always know there's gonna be some type of issue. So I could pull the sheet down a little bit, get the box in there, wired up, put it back up, and then we only have the 2 little wires hanging out that need to connect to the actual light itself. So I'm using a 4-inch hole saw, and I've already confirmed that this does fit perfectly. Sometimes the dimensions they give you are a little smaller than you actually need. So I've also bought a 4 1/8 just in case. Let's get this in the center. There we go. Pop out our little piece. On this one, you'll be able to see the issue I was talking about. We are running into the 2x6. So I went ahead and ran the hole saw a little deeper. Thankfully, I still had a little bit of a bite on the 2x6. So I cut it probably about 1 inch up or so. Now I'm gonna try to get in here with a chisel and hopefully see if I can break that off. Again, we only need about that much for the light. However, there is a box that comes with the light that we need to be able to get up in there. Which side is the wiring on? I think it's that side. It's also gonna be fun to grab the wire. Maybe it's this side. It is definitely that side. All right, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna try this the easy. I feel like this is the more electrician way first. I'm gonna try to just hog it out with this 1¼ inch paddle bit. This might work, this might not. Before we start pulling out chisels and stuff. Well, we lost one big piece there. It actually hogged out a pretty good amount of material pretty quickly. I'm pretty happy with that. What I see here is, did I leave enough wire length to get over to here? I'm not sure. So I pulled this down a little bit. Let's see if we can get to the wire. Oh yeah, I think we're golden, y'all. That was a close one. Hopefully you guys can see that. I don't know where you're looking, but we are good. We got enough wire length. Let's go make sure the box will fit. Otherwise, we got to put it up now. So these are the lights that we're going to use. I found these on Amazon. I was looking for 4-inch LEDs, and I really wanted RGBs. So these are color changing. You know, you have the whole spectrum of colors that you can select from. They're super simple. You can see how they just pop in. I'll pop this one in a second to show you guys. Comes with an app and then this little like dongle weird thingy right here that you somehow tied to Wi-Fi, but I don't think they give you a cord for it. Not really sure. We'll dig deeper in this box later. But speaking of boxes, this is what needs to go up inside the hole. This is where you do all of your wiring connections. You pop this open, and then it has an in and an out, or I guess you can really run them both on the same side. But this is what has to fit in the hole. So we're gonna go make sure that works right now, and then we'll show you how these pop in. Let's see if we would have enough room. Well, actually this is hanging down. It's probably not gonna zoom in and adjust this. There goes the Harbor Freight impact. It'll still work after I just dropped it off. See, a ladder there. Let's see, will we be able to get this in? Oh yeah, it fits, guys, it fits. Now let me show you how these lights clip in. And again, I like these. They're mostly meant for like after the fact installs. However, I feel like the world should just change over to these. But when it comes to doing soffits like this, I don't know what to do to plan for stucco. So if any of you guys have any ideas, like, I don't know, do they make a mud ring that just like comes in just for this application that these can then pop in after? Or do I just have the stucco guy just kind of go around this hole right here and clean it out as he's stuccoing? Kind of what my plan is gonna be. Unless you guys have a better idea. So super simple, you just flip these two tabs up and she goes in just like that. And even with the addition of the stucco, I think we've got plenty of room there. If this comes down another ½ inch or so, we should still be able to pop these in, no problem. They'll hold themselves in. Now you're probably noticing though, these are white. I don't want white ones. I wanted black ones, but I couldn't find any black ones that did RGB. That might have them on Home Depot's website, but they're like $1 million. This was 200 bucks for 12 4-inch RGB lights with the little Wi-Fi dongle thingy. So because of that, I'm probably gonna end up painting these rings black. Even though, I mean, you still have this big old white opaque section right here, it's still gonna be white. But when it comes time to install these, we'll figure it out then. But we'll probably just end up painting these rings black to make them blend in, because I would like these soffits, even though they are going to be stucco, I would like these to be black. This whole section here black, roof black, and then the walls white, black windows. Just give it a really cool white and black feel. Okay guys, well, all of the holes are drilled and hole sawed out all the way around. We had one more right there where we ran into a 2x6, but surprisingly nowhere else. The little paddle bit trick worked. We got enough opening there, and thankfully the wire was long enough, because this one was stapled to the 2x6 that's way over here, but I was able to get plenty to come out. Thankfully I left those a lot longer than I needed. We know everything's gonna fit up inside the holes. Like, what more could you want? All of the roughing is done. All we need to do is just get those nail plates on, and I didn't feel like picking those up today, so that'll be at some other point, but it's not the most exciting thing in the video. For those of you guys that don't know, nail plates are just a metal plate that you hammer on anywhere like here where we have a penetration through the stud with the wire. That way you never end up putting a screw through your wire when you're putting your drywall in, or if somebody comes in later and attaches something to the wall, they'll end up hitting the metal nail plate instead of going through the stud into the wire. So that pretty much wraps up as much as we can do until the windows show up. I mean, we could probably do the roof first. I've never really stuccoed soffits like this, so I don't know the part of the process. Does the roof go on first with the little flashing piece there, or does the stucco go on first? If you guys have any insight, let me know which goes first. But I'm very excited for this thing to just get wrapped up. We're close, we're getting close. We've got Big Walt in the background eating some clover, grass, whatever the heck's growing there. Is that good, buddy? You are really chowing down right there. He's a little too preoccupied to talk to us right now. So with that, we are gonna wrap up. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not subscribed already, please click into the we totally butchered that one. Please click the subscribe button, that way you do not miss out on any future content. Don't forget to give this video a like, get a thumbs up. Don't forget to check out workforapparel.com, because if there's anything you want in this life, you gotta be willing to work for it. You guys are the best. I'm out.
Damn. Yeah.